Hi, everybody. Welcome officially to the LeadForward Summit 2026, Leaders in Motion on Purpose. That is the theme of the conference for this year, or this cycle. I'm Deepak Sharma. I'm your moderator this morning, and I'm very excited for everybody to be here. And just before I really introduce the session, just making sure everybody knows that you did click into this session, which is called Leadership Liftoff, Building Your Leadership Brand. So more on the official intro in a moment, but just to make sure that everybody is here, that is the session you clicked on wanting to come to this. So without further ado, let me take us further. That's me. It's a little bit about me. I work at UC Berkeley People and Culture. I'm an HR trainer over there, and I'm not going to read my entire script, but I definitely have a little bit of a background, formerly in the field of student affairs, and now currently in learning and development. So definitely a lot of programs like this that are very much geared towards professional development of employees and working professionals along different stages of career, from early stage to at least somewhat mid-level. That's at least a lot of my expertise in this area right now. So we're really thrilled that we are here to that you are joining us, and we are very excited for this conference. So, just kind of a few housekeeping rules, a little bit about this session, how it works. I do realize that we are all virtual and kind of from all over the country and the world. But yes, I wanted to just kind of go over that before I introduce our speaker. So, just make sure that while you're in the room, keep your microphones muted unless you're instructed. The chat is enabled. So, yes, please feel free to use the chat to either, you can chat each other. I will definitely be monitoring that at least during the duration of the main session. And then, of course, the workshop leader will address those as necessary if there's kind of a gap along the way. So I will be supporting Mo, our presenter, who I will be introducing here momentarily. The session here is officially, as I said earlier, while we were doing the preliminary intro, it is Leadership Liftoff, Building Your Leadership Brand. So very excited to have Mo Rubenzal be our presenter. I will definitely do his introduction in a moment too. But this is definitely a very engaging presentation. I've worked with Mo in the past as well, so I'm very excited to be working alongside with him again here. So welcome again. And so just a little bit about Mo. This is him. If you can also see him in the in the Zoom window as well too. But just as a little bit about just kind of the introduction about this presentation, kind of say this out loud. Just as product brands set customer expectations and increase the company and product's value, your brand as individuals can either hinder or enhance your career success. So learn how you can use some of these techniques from top branding experts to build an inspirational leadership brand. So that's at least the overall theme of this presentation. So because great brands start with values, you will go through a values discovery process. And sorry, one moment, I need to move my screen. And to essentially, it'll be a values discovery process to discover the basis of how your brand functions. So without further ado, I would actually like to turn it over to Mo.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about how you can use who you are, which is your leadership brand, to inspire and move people and become a better leader. First of all, why should you be listening to me? I've been in marketing and engineering roles in business for about 45 years, ranging from big companies to startups. And as a consultant, I've worked with over 100 companies worldwide, ranging from single-person startups to multi-billion-dollar brands. And I've done a lot of branding work with those companies. And my point of view on leadership is that whether we think of ourselves as leaders or not, we're always leading. You may be a leader at work, even if you're not a manager or an executive. You may be a leader in your community, or you may lead a nonprofit organization. And many of us lead or co-lead a family. And if you're committed to personal growth, well, you're a leader of yourself. So I consider everybody a leader in training. So whether you actually have a management role right now, you're already a leader and you're already learning how to lead. So I wanted to find out real quick question, how many, just so that we think of ourselves in terms of what we're trying to achieve here. And you can pick any of these that apply. We're not going to actually do a poll, so just raise your hands. I have a leadership position and I'm very happy with where I am. Maybe you have a leadership position, but you want something bigger or better. Or you don't really have a leadership position now, but you want to at some point. Or you want to find ways to be a more effective leader. And some of us might be in a position where we're not confident. We want to project more leadership presence. And I think most of us, at least speaking for myself, always need to grow in that area. Well, wherever you are, in leadership development, whether you're experienced, you're new, you're eager, or you're reluctant, having a leadership brand will move you further and faster. So, first question I want to ask is about leadership in general. What makes a leader great? When I was a new manager, I worried a lot about this because honestly, I felt like a fraud. Did I have what it took? I saw leaders I admired around me and wondered what it was about them that made people want to follow them. It helps to have good examples. So think about the great leaders you know, the ones who lead by example, the ones who are great thinkers and doers, the ones who get things done. And don't just think of famous leaders, think about the leaders that you know personally. Maybe your manager or a manager you've worked with in the past who just inspired people and connected with people. And leaders don't have to be like the top dogs, the generals. You can think about the middle managers, the lieutenants, the sergeants, the squad leaders, and even sometimes people have no management role at all, rank and file players who lead as colleagues. Those are some of the people you can think of as leaders who inspire you. What one thing do all great leaders have in common? Because when I was a young manager, I would look to experienced leaders and say, what makes them effective? And interestingly, there is one thing that all great leaders have in common, and that is that people follow them. That's the definition of leadership. Somehow these people create this desire to have in people to have them follow them. So now the question is, why do people follow great leaders? Sometimes it's because they have to, but not always. More often it's because they want to. And if you think about the leaders, they seem to have some magical quality. It's like charisma or executive presence. Maybe you think that people follow these people because they're tall, because they have a deep voice, because they have a degree from a well-known university, that they're male and they're white. These are all advantages in our society, but no, that's not it, because I know that you can think of counterexamples, effective, well-respected leaders who don't fit the stereotypes. So, what is it? Well, most great leaders do indeed have a magical superpower, and I'm going to tell you right now what it is. And that is they are 100% clear about their mission, and they make sure that everyone knows who they are and why they are here. So, think again about great leaders that you identified and ask yourself what they stood for. What was their mission? What got them up in the morning and lit up their life? And I'll bet you know, because because great leaders make sure everybody knows. It's easy to follow someone when their identity is authentic and clear. And that is their brand, their authentic identity and their why. So today we're going to talk about how you can define and refine your why, the one that will inspire people to follow you. Now, understand this is not, when we talk about marketing ourselves, we're not talking about marketing yourself, we're talking about being yourself. It's possible to lead from some made up story, a concocted image, but why would you want to? Because once you know who you are, you'll naturally attract and motivate great teams. And that's your brand. So the tool we're going to use today is branding. It's a standard modern marketing practice, and we're going to apply these brand marketing practices to the brand that is you. These are the same methodologies that I use when working with billion-dollar companies to define and refine their most valuable brands. So we're going to start by talking about what a brand is, what a leadership brand is, and how brands create value, and therefore how you can create value as a leader by using your brand. Then I'm going to give you a process you can use to build your brand by discovering your values, mission, vision, and writing your elevator pitch. And finally, we'll talk about how you can use your brand to lead. And this is the same practice that we're going to use there's a subsequent longer session which you can get later in the month, in which we'll take everybody through the brand process personally. Okay, first, what do I mean by brand? Well, a lot of people think about brand as the logo, the colors, the corporate identity, and the product. And that none of those things is a brand, because all of these things belong to the company. And in fact, the brand is not something the company owns. Brand is a feeling. It doesn't live in the company's materials, it lives in the customer, or in this case, the people that you're leading. So I want you to notice your instantaneous gut reaction to some brands. I'm going to show you some logos, and as you view them, think about what the brands they represent mean to you. So are your impressions positive or negative, loud or quiet, cool or warm? Do these brands evoke feelings, ideas, attitudes? Do they remind you of past experiences? And what future expectations do you have of the companies and products behind these brands? Now apply this to people. As you see each person, what's your gut feeling? Not what they have done, but who they are, what they stand for. Those are all the brands of these people, products, and companies. Now, how about you? What's your brand? Now, I'm going to suggest that you already know a lot about your brand. If you pause a moment, think about one thing about you that matters, one thing that people respond to. Then think about another one and maybe another one. Remember to focus on gut feeling. What emotions, what heart-centered values come up between you and others as you lead people?
If we're not jumping ahead, should we have people write that in the chat just to kind of engage a little
Oh,
bit with
that's
it?
a great idea. Yeah. So about you, what is your brand? Just write down one or two things about you that matters, and yeah, fire those off into the chat. Why all this focus on brand? The reason is that brand creates value. As a leader, you need to worry about your brand and your organization's brand because brand, more than anything else, defines your value in the marketplace. And I'm going to say that again. Your brand, more than anything else, sets your value. If you don't believe me, consider this. Which is better? Fiji water, which costs about $2 a bottle in the US, Dasani water, which is a Coca-Cola product at about $1 a bottle, or Costco's Kirkland water, which is less than 25 cents. They're all just water, and yet somehow Fiji gets people to pay 8 times as much for their product. And the same thing applies to BMWs versus Hondas versus Hyundais, to a Rolex watch versus a Casio watch, and services like Hilton versus Holiday Inn versus Novotel. A great brand increases the perceived value of a product so they can charge more. The same is true for your leadership brand. Your perceived value, your effectiveness as a leader goes up when people know and trust your brand. To build a brand, we need some building blocks. And like all brands, your brand is built on some fundamentals. These are the same elements that I use when I'm branding companies or branding products and services, and they work for individuals just as well. First of all, a brand is built on core values, who you are, on a mission, which is what you're doing, and a vision, what you'll be doing over time. For products, we express these elements in what's called a brand definition. But for a leadership brand, we can reduce the message to its simplest form, the elevator pitch, and that is your destination. So this is the foundation of how we're going to build your brand. The brand creates value, and the brand helps stimulate people to follow you. That's the big picture of where we're going with this. Who you are, what you're doing, and where you're going. Together, you use those to build your elevator pitch. What is an elevator pitch? An elevator pitch is a 1-minute story that tells who you are, what your mission is, and why it matters. So here's a framework we're going to use to get from values, mission, and vision to an elevator pitch. So values, again, are who you are, what you believe. They're your why. Now, in your elevator pitch, you can just say, I believe something and cite your core values. Or you can use a story to say how your values came to be, how they became a part of you. For example, you might say something like, in 2010, I was in a devastating car accident that changed everything I believed about my role in my community, and then go on from there. So you can use a story, or you can use I believe to frame your values and then move into your elevator pitch. Your mission is the what and the how. the context, what you're doing, what's unique and special. It provides the listener with more clarity about why they want to be on this journey with you. So here's what I do. That's my mission. Then a little vision. And vision is a piece that people don't usually blend into because they don't feel comfortable with it or they don't think about supplying that in their elevator pitch. It's this is where we are going. This is the big picture. And this is maybe the most important thing to repeat with people who are following you over and over and over and over again. This is where we're going. And altogether, this story becomes your elevator pitch. And in the full leadership brand workshop, which we'll be doing in the future, we will use this framework to build your mission, vision, and values, and work together to develop and refine your elevator pitch as an expression of your brand. And we'll do that individually. So let's say you have your brand and you have your elevator pitch. What's next? How do you turn your brand into action? How do you align everyone behind your vision? Well, the most important tactic and the one that many leaders undershoot is communication. Communicate, communicate, communicate. You think about the great leaders you know, they're talking about their vision over and over and over and over again. You have to communicate to excess. The great leaders speak their missions into existence every day. That's what you want to do. Because if you're living your mission, but you're not speaking it, or you're speaking it but not living it, you're underperforming as a leader. Some leaders with perfectly fine values fail by not talking enough about what they're thinking. They imagine that everyone must know, or they must be tired of hearing it. Here's the rule. If you have no indication that anyone is sick of hearing it, if they're not telling you that, then you're definitely under communicating. And almost everybody under communicates their vision because they think people are tired of hearing it. Over communicating your vision is almost impossible. Let's recap. We define brand and how it creates value, how it applies to people, to leaders, and we talked about how brand creates value. We talked about how you can build your brand starting with finding your values, your mission, and vision. And we talked about how you can use your brand to lead. Now that you know how branding can make you a better leader, it's time to begin with the most basic element of your brand, and that is your values. Spend a minute now thinking, what core leadership values do you bring to your organization, your family, your communities, and your world? Let's go ahead and unmute now and just call out one or two of your core values.
Okay, I believe I'm a driver.
Driver meaning, what does that mean to you?
Driver, I mean, in the family, in the business. I mean, I show the vision like this,
Okay,
something like. Mhm.
right. So you
Thank you.
probably have a value around being bold, a bit around telling the truth, about expressing what you see in a way that other people can hear it, something like that.
Exactly.
And you call forth action.
Yes, yes. And
Okay.
I mean, I'm like opening up the horizons for the community.
Oh, fantastic. That's a
Mhm.
precious one, I think. That's
Love it.
great. Who else has some?
There's one in the chat. Somebody wrote ownership and service. If that was related to this particular one or maybe a previous statement.
Sure, those are very key values. Ownership means that you're not somebody who's just passive, who sits back and lets it happen. You take control of it. That's excellent.
Service.
The service meaning you're making that you're about helping others,
Helping others, supporting others, yeah. Ownership.
helping
So
and
ownership,
supporting others. Okay.
different value. I take full ownership of whatever I take on, right? So that's another
Fantastic.
value.
Here's the question I have for all of you who gave values, or those of you who thought about your values but didn't necessarily express those. Are those values you gave effective at motivating the people around you? So, no doubt they are good values and they are true. The question I have is, are they compelling? Do they capture people and make them want to align? And can we redefine and sharpen your values in a way that makes them more effective for your leadership goals? And I will say that all of the values we heard, those are all pretty motivating values, I thought. Um, Many times, though, people express blander values that are harder to turn into an action figure. Let's look at some examples so that we can understand that. As you examine your values, consider this. Most of the time, the values people state first are vanilla values. They're common, they're plain, they're ordinary. They're no less worthy, but vanilla values are seldom the ones that move other people, let alone a great organization. And for example, here are vanilla values that I hear in my consulting all the time. People will say trust, which is hugely important. But when someone says they are trustworthy, do you believe them? Integrity, innovation, everyone says these. So while they may be true, they lose meaning. And I tell companies, if you're going to claim that your products are innovative, don't, because everybody says that. It never means anything. It's just a word. Even if it's absolutely 100% true, you just can't use it because it doesn't sound believable to people. So values that affect other people, that define and move an organization, those are the ones that are unique, specific, and very true for you, that go beyond the common declarations. Those are the ones we're looking for. What do you have that's unique? What will make people eager to follow you? What value confer benefits to others, such as leadership values, being bold? It is likely you will not have an answer. Most people won't have an answer to that right now. This is a question we can carry into your work as you grow your leadership. And here are some examples. Common values I often hear are things like integrity, honesty, commitment. But imagine if these values were expressed in a way that's more specific and more memorable, such as we do the right thing, say what you mean with kindness, do what you say you would do. Maybe you recognize these. Are they more powerful, provocative? Are they more enrolling? Well, here's where they came from. These are three of the values of the mentoring club. And you can see how the mentoring club could have said integrity, honesty, and commitment, but instead chose words that give these values power. Here's another real example. This is Amazon's mission statement. Amazon strives to be Earth's most customer-centric company, Earth's best employer, and Earth's safest place to work. What values drive Amazon's mission? Amazon could have said things like top-notch customer service, online retail innovation, but instead they gave it detail and color so these values have meaning. So here's a simple exercise. Share one core value and talk about how we can make it specific, memorable, and meaningful. So we can't really workshop a value on the fly. We use this exercise to experiment with thinking past vanilla values. Does somebody want to volunteer to do this?
This is Manju. Yeah. I had given ownership and service. I think the service part of it is pretty clear. I want to help others, right? So is there something more that you could say that differently?
That's actually a good example. So ownership, that's a very unusual. I think that one's unusual and bold. Service is also pretty clear and action oriented. So I think it's most of the way there. But can you maybe turn it into a few words or a sentence that would be that people would connect to and go, oh, I get what this person's about and I want to follow them? Because a lot of people say service.
Yeah,
I'm all about other
right.
people. Can you maybe make it a little more unique? What do you think?
That word is so ingrained. The meaning is so taken for granted in my head.
Uh-huh.
But what does
Well,
that mean?
let me give you a suggestion. What result do you want to have when you're working with somebody and you're about service for them?
Reach their potential.
Okay, reach their potential. All right. We can refine that some more, but let's take it just like that and say, so instead of saying I'm all about service, you can say something like I'm that you're gratified, or that there's some feeling that comes for you when somebody achieves a higher level of their potential.
Joy, pride.
Okay, that you feel joy and pride when others what?
When I can lift others up and help them reach their potential.
Okay, so you feel joy and pride when others lift themselves up and reach a higher level of potential, something like that.
I can lift others up and help them reach their potential.
So there's something in there that we could work with and tweak a little bit and get past vanilla values to something that connects very readily and shows
Right.
people how genuinely and how deeply you're moved when you do this work. Your values already were really good and pretty unique. But I think we can work that one a little more and take you closer to a brand statement, to an elevator. You can see how this would bridge over into an elevator pitch and become something that really would that really would move you and move others forward. Does that make
Got it.
sense?
Yeah, yeah. No, I'd never thought about it this way. This is very insightful. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Because most people don't even look at their own values, but then spending time to look at those values, you usually go off of a list and try to see, okay, which is your topmost one. So you're taking it beyond that and um, asking us to think beyond what that means to us also. So
Right.
even ownership, I think of it as, and I've always thought of myself as having that extreme ownership. And what does that mean? High do say ratio, but I don't know. How do you appeal to others when we talk about that? That'll be interesting to think through. Thank you, Mo.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for the example. That was good because this was an example. Usually, what we get is examples that are truly vanilla, and then we can work them over into a level of being more meaningful. Here, you already had some meaningful values that resonate with people, and what we can do is we can workshop them so they're even sharper, tie them into your personal life story, and make them into a really golden elevator pitch. I'm very excited about working with you on this. This was because of where you are and where you're going to take these. This is great.
Before we continue, maybe one more person just shared this in the chat.
Please.
Communicate your expectations. Do what you say you will do. Communicate when you can't, period. And then strive to create a better vision of yourself as often as you can. So,
Yeah,
sorry.
that's from Bernie. Bernie, I see that. I see this.
Okay.
We can take one of those. I want to move on, but let me take a look at one. Do what you say you will do is a much more powerful way than saying I'm reliable or I'm dependable. There's something in there about, so do what you say you'll do is good, although a lot of people who don't do what they say they will do say that they will do what they say will do. So that's why I ask people when they express something that it says trust, how do you express that in a way that sounds believable, genuine, heartfelt? And so you can say, do what you say you will do, and communicate when you can't. How do you turn that into you can something about you can depend on me or I don't know exactly the right words for it, but how do we take that one the next step where it connects with people and becomes 100% believable? So these are really good visions. These are very sorry, these are really good values. These are very workable. Thank you for that. Here's a question. Do values change? And the answer is yes and no. Your core values, who you are, what matters to you, will change slowly. Many of them will never change. They'll be true for your whole life. But the values that you're using to drive your mission will adapt over time, and your mission will adapt over time. They'll also depend on context. You may have 20 values, but in a given role for a given mission at a particular time, there will be just a few, like 3 or 4, maybe as many as 6, that you're using as your foundation for the mission. I'm going to give a quick example. So, Nitesh has core values of honesty, efficiency, being a loving man, and a dozen more. Those are his core values, and those are pretty constant in his life. But Nitesh has some specific roles and missions in his life, and so we want to customize the values he applies in each role. So, as a dad, his operating values for his family are radical transparency. What he says is, my kids and wife know what I'm thinking, and nothing I do should be a surprise. See how he went, nothing I do should be a surprise. That's a very focused, clear way of saying that he's transparent. And it's much better than if he said his value was honesty. He's calling it radical transparency, and that he's looking at everything over a 20-year lifespan, and that he's supporting supporting with standards. He says, I'm by nature demanding, so I choose to pay special attention to support alongside my usual commitment standards, that is being supportive. But Nitesh is also a manager at work, and there he has similar values, but they're different. So his first value is the same, radical transparency. My staff and those I report to know what I'm thinking, and nothing I do should be a surprise. But his other values are different. Reliable efficiency and always having a plan B. Those are unique to his role and wouldn't necessarily apply to the family situation. In any event, notice how his values are customized for each role. So knowing your values is fundamental to your leadership brand. So I'm going to leave you with some assignments that will help you identify and refine your values. And if you're planning on doing the extended session later, then make note of these assignments, because if you show up having done these assignments, we're going to be able to go much farther with you. First one is what I call a values discovery process. Sometimes we know our values, but more often we don't, because we've never expressed them or thought about them in this way. So assignment one is a multiple week exercise in which you will discover your values while you go through life. If you do the process well, actually, it can evolve over years. So the idea is you get a package of 3x5 note cards, carry them with you all the time, every waking hour, and sitting on your bedstand at night. Do not use your phone, use pencil and paper, the old-fashioned stuff for this. Your assignment is to spend the next week or two observing yourself. You're not judging, you're not sifting, you're not beating yourself up, but you're just collecting data. Look for core values and clues to your mission, not so much what you think, not so much your judgments. Focus on how you feel and what beliefs are underneath that. Look for clues like you're shopping and you notice you feel happy, or maybe you're shopping and you feel anxious. Whichever it is, why is that? Why do you feel that way? Maybe you're watching a movie and you feel warm towards a particular character. Why? Write something down. Or you get mad at yourself for having procrastinated a task. Why? Write it down. Or you have a disagreement with a coworker or a family member. Write that down. Or you have a moment of gratitude for something that happens in your life. Write that down. And you might record 20 cards, 50 cards, even 100 cards or more. That's great. In addition to values, look for clues about your mission as a leader. Where are you going? What results are you thinking? What floats your boat? Where are you going? What excites you? Ask others who know you what your top core values are. Write those on the cards too. For the first phase, you just gather your notes. And then when you're done, you sit with your teams, your family, and the 2 or 3 or 5 friends who you know will tell you the truth. You know those people. Ask their opinions of what's on your cards. Then record whatever values you discovered. I'll give you a few of mine as an example. I'm an incurable optimist. I'm intolerant of waste and efficiency. I value listening to different points of view. I love to teach and have a fundamental belief in technology, creativity, and capitalism that offer us a growing spiral of solutions to make life better. So those are some of my values. And what you're going to do with all of this information is you're going to lay these cards down and you're going to sort them. So for now, embark on the several-week mission to gather the cards, and then later we go through a process of laying them out on the floor and sorting them and grouping them to figure out what those few values that matter in each of your roles are. And then assignment 2 is to take the Spark type test to look at your values through a different mechanism. And this is a free test. They ask for an email address, which is optional, and which will give you a detailed report via email, but you don't have to do that. So it's a free test. So I recommend people do that and use that alongside the other values discovery and see whether it helps discover some additional values. Did you find it valuable to look at your leadership as a brand? Do you see how your values, your mission and vision will help you motivate others and be a leader? So I invite you to the next step, which is the Mentoring Club's full leadership brand workshop. In this workshop, we're going to be developing your brand using the concepts you saw today. We'll work through your values, turning them into individual custom, meaningful, and unique brand statements so that you and everyone around you knows who you are. We'll use your values to create a mission and a vision. And then we'll work together to build an elevator pitch and work through that pitch until it's powerful and motivating. So it includes an elevator pitch workshop, if you will. And your elevator pitch will be the representation of your leadership brand. So that's it. If you have questions, we have time, I think. How much time do we have? We've got just a couple of minutes, but if anybody has questions, we can address those.
I have a question. This is Arnold.
Yes.
Oh, is it possible to have a value statement that's common to you? I mean, to me, for example, as a dad, and say as a manager in an organization, because sometimes people believe in the same thing regardless of where they are, right? So, in the example earlier, you delineated between a dad and a manager of the same person, right? But is it
Mhm.
possible to define a value statement which would cover both roles?
To have one value statement that covers two roles?
Yes.
It's possible. Honestly, it's not likely. Your values are your values are the same. Problem is, you probably have 20 values, all of which are important to you. But there are like three values, four values, which you could say, these are important when I'm functioning as a manager. These three or four are important when I'm functioning as a dad. These three are important when I'm working with my volunteer organization. Uh, they if you try to use the same values for everything, you're going to be diluting your power because some of them just don't matter. They're all important, but some of them just don't matter as much over here as that. So you're prioritizing something where there's something else that would be higher priority. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see now because it has to be very specific to the role that you are doing. Although both roles would have common values, right?
That's right. So they very well may. Manju said it in the chat very well. Says the values stay the same, but it's about priorities then.
Got
So
it.
let's say I have 20 values. I'm going to focus on these three because these three are the highest priority for for me as a manager.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
That makes sense?
Yes, it does.
Just want to thank all of you for participating and offering some of your insights. And I completely understand. I know sometimes that there's a chance where some of this information, we might have to marinate on it for a little while. But yeah, but please do. And if you have any further questions, as Mo had left us his contact information earlier, email and as well as he's on LinkedIn. So yeah, feel free to reach out to him. And I'm sure he'll be very happy to connect with you. So yeah, well, without further ado, I would like to just thank our panelists. I guess in this case, it won't really be a panelist; it'll be Mo himself. Just a heartfelt thank you just on behalf of the Mentoring Club. Thank you so much, Mo, for your insights, wisdom. I know 45 years in a career in the world of tech and consulting. I think you've definitely seen a lot of things that are very much branded. And I know sometimes activities like this are always fun whenever you see a combination of good brands, bad brands, or even sometimes the idea of what made a brand fail. And, so I know there's a lot of YouTubers out there who have their theories, but it is kind of fun to kind of get into this to make sure that how to make sure that you are part of a brand that does not fail. So on that note, thank you very much for some of your insights on that. And yeah, so we definitely appreciate your time and wanted to give essentially just, I mean, if we haven't done this already, a virtual applause. This would be the place. I realize we can't all see each other. We're all on camera, but yes, feel free to use that react button for applause. I know it's always nice to see the hands go up and as we are concluding down. And so yeah, a little bit about beyond the sorry, somebody wants to join, no problem as we're winding down here. Yeah, so just a little bit about a survey that I just wanted to let you all know is as we're winding down, this is just kind of some housekeeping things back to kind of as we close out, is we do value your feedback. So please take a screenshot of this QR code and complete the survey because that'll at least help us understand what types of sessions the Mentoring Club can do in the future for other programs like this, other conferences, other webinars, other content expert speakers, anything that you have. Yes, we would absolutely take that as well. And then as a special thank you, you'll receive a 1 month complimentary mentee subscription for the Mentoring Club and every session completed. So for example, for every 6 times you complete a survey, then you will get 6 months of 6 months of a subscription. So it's basically 1 month or one survey, one subscription, if that makes sense. So it's in writing, but that's at least one way that I'd like to say that. And also the first 10 respondents will receive a complimentary swag, essentially some of the things that you see there, like the shirts, the hats. There are a couple other things here as well too. Some luggage tags as well. It's always kind of fun, just luggage tags are always a good one, especially when you're playing when your bag is coming out at the airport. You're like, I know my bag because I know that tag. I have a hotel one. But yes, anyway, that's one of the things that you could have. And then yeah, last but not least, let me switch slides one more time. Yeah, so just a little bit about just the registration. It's for those of you that might be at an early stage career registering as a mentee, this could be one thing that you could do. I personally am a mentee, kind of maybe growing out of that in a little bit, but yes, definitely started out as a mentee. And then for those of you that are more seasoned, maybe mid-level to upper-level professionals ready to mentor somebody that's coming up through the ranks, this is at least one way that you can do that. So yeah, this network is definitely very valuable all around the world. And as reflected here just within this one session, but there are people from all over the world that do join this group as well. So we are very excited and happy for that networking. And then, yeah, just last but not least, some of the signups to some of our premium workshop, if you're ready to deep diver into leadership development, we'd also like to offer some of these workshops that we have that are at our premium rate as well too, for in-depth multi-session learning experience over the coming months. So these are definitely some of the ones that are coming up. Once again, feel free to use the QR code scan here to look at that. These websites are built on the Summit's workshops, their insights, and designed to help you grow as a leader. And once again, anybody who is part of this, you can use that QR code and get a 25% off discount um, using the code. I'm actually going to throw the code in the chat here just to make sure that we actually have that verbatim. So this is actually the chats for this one. So when you log in, if I read it, I know it's going to get forgotten. So at least just LFS 2026 sorry, let me just make sure that it is correct on my screen here. LFS 2026-WKP. So that's essentially the QR code for a 25% discount for any of the future workshops that we have as well. So just want to make sure that you all remember that. Feel free to take a screenshot of the chat line as well too. And I think last but not least, yeah, then also for any for anybody who would like the recordings of these sessions as well too, they are also available. So get the VIP pass for on-demand sessions to all the event recordings that are after the summit. So I think somebody did ask earlier, will these slides be shared? Yes, this along with many of the other slides that will be part of what is shared. Always a very popular question. We're always happy to share the slides and these recordings. That is why it's being recorded. So yeah, so definitely do that. We're offering the VIP pass for $13 for 13 sessions. So yeah, this is also to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the mentoring club. Started a decade ago. I was one of the first that started in this group as well. So I can definitely say that it is a very invaluable experience for a lot of folks in various industrial sectors. Like I said earlier, I'm in higher education, but I know there's a lot of industry that I have seen kind of go through this group as well. And yeah, on to the next session. So one of the next ones that we have is, let me make sure that I'm reading this correctly. Sorry from my screen as well. Yeah, so it's, sorry, give me one moment. There it goes. Sorry, I had a couple of Zoom glitches. So the next session that we have is Women in Motion, Mentoring for Empowerment and Leadership Growth. So if anybody's interested in that, that's one of the next sessions within the next time block that starts at about 12 o'clock. So it's in about 5 minutes from now. So in the next few minutes here. And yeah, last but not least, enjoy the summit, enjoy the journey. I will be around for a few minutes. I'm sure Mo will stick around as well too. But if anybody has any other questions, wish you well, and thank you once again for joining us this morning or this afternoon, wherever you are in the world.
I'm a leader and I make space for others to rise. For me, that means not always taking charge of everything, not always telling people what to do, but instead listening to people, understanding what motivates them, what they're interested in, and what drives them. Understanding what drives somebody is a great way to get the best out of them and let them try things for themselves, not constantly controlling and telling them what to do, but instead understanding what makes them tick. That could be, in my case, giving up some of the training elements that I love doing, but instead letting somebody else try it, letting somebody else take charge of the training. And to begin with, probably not being the best they can be, but that's where you come in. You coach them, you teach them, and you help them grow. That makes them better, they feel valued, and you feel that you've given something back. This is how I lead forward.
I am a leader, and I believe growth happens together. As a mentee at the Mentoring Club, I have learned that leadership isn't about position or titles. It is about showing up, learning, and growing alongside others. I have gained skills in fundraising, communication, and building genuine connections and support I received helped me continue my education during uncertain times. Real leadership starts with listening, empathy, and encouraging others to step forward. Today, I lead with purpose, collaboration, and shared growth. This is how I lead forward.
I am the leader, and people matter more than the metrics. My name is Olga Smagilova. I am the mentor of the Mentoring Club already for 5 years, and I would like to tell one short story. 6 years ago, I was leading business transformation in Asia Pacific. The poll was delaying with certain requests. The metrics were not good, especially the people were laid off in the big countries. So I landed there just before these layoffs are happening. So I need to raise the morale, and I was building the cross-cultural links in order to establish the trust first. And when we establish the trust, it's actually metrics gradually, month by month, start improving. This is actually proves that people can drive, and is most important asset. And relationships are very, very fundamentally very important. So when people trust you, that everything is possible, any transformation is possible. This is how I lead forward.
I am a leader. I was born to a modest couple in the Philippines, the youngest of 4 girls. My mom was my greatest influence. I take after her with her kindness and creative problem-solving discipline. I have been in California for 22 years now. I joined an internet consulting company in Silicon Valley as business development manager in 2002, became chief operating officer and part owner after 8 years, then exited in 2020 to focus on the Mentoring Club, my give back passion project. The Mentoring Club connects working people to accomplished leaders for leadership development mentoring. With a growing community of hundreds of mentors, mentees, volunteers, donors, and partners globally, we are giving the gift of leaders to the world.
What is my vision for the Mentoring Club? When I started the Mentoring Club in 2016, I declared that our mission is to provide a mentoring community for young leaders. When we launched, not only young leaders signed up, mid-career people and advanced career people signed up. And so we evolved our mission to provide a mentoring community for aspiring and seasoned leaders, where seasoned leaders refer to both the mentors and the mentees. Today, anywhere in the world, we help working people find mentors who can guide them to develop the skills they need to achieve their career and life goals. We help mentees fulfill their goals through meaningful work that creates positive impact in the world. We believe that when we're doing meaningful work, that's when the leaders in us come out, because we care about the results. And when we care about the results, then that is how we can make a positive impact in the world. Ultimately, my vision is that as mentees become successful leaders, my dream is for them to become mentors to others. And that's how the cycle of giving back can continue, hopefully without end, hopefully even long after I'm gone.
When Lisel put that vision on the screen, it made it so easy for me, one, to take in, and two, to brag and share. This is what the Mentoring Club is about. Now, contrast that with, here's a one-page brochure. Read it and then share it. I'm not likely to do that, but just because Lisel made it easy for me to see a picture, the best part of the picture, I could see myself in that picture.
One of the ways we attract people into the Mentoring Club is to share our leadership core values. Our anchor values are trust, leadership, and community. Under trust, we believe that integrity, honesty, and commitment are what make us trustworthy as individuals and professionals. Under leadership, we believe that health, vision, and execution are all needed to be successful leaders. One without the others pretty much leads to nothing. We have to have all of them. And it is understandable that not all of us will be great at both visioning and execution. So if you're great at visioning, find somebody to help you execute. And if you're great at execution, find somebody whose vision you can support and help execute. That way, both of you can become successful leaders. And the last anchor value, community. Under community, we believe that humanity, contentment, family are the social grounding forces that make us feel fulfilled and happy. At the end of the day, even though we're successful as leaders, if we don't have anybody to share that success with, then it will be a lonely success. And so we encourage everybody to think about their values. And if those values align with ours, then this may be just the right community to be a part of. What are the proofs that the vision and the mission are being realized? Throughout this conference, I invite you to watch some of the testimonials that our mentors and mentees are sharing about their experiences within the community.
One thing's for sure, the relationship of a mentor and a mentee is a serious one. And it is not a spur of the moment thing. It is not something we just feel like doing on a Monday morning. And the commitment and the deliberate effort to work on that relationship is paramount. And you've got to give it enough time to work, because maybe when you first a couple of meetings, it take a while for the chemistry to work, but you can't just make a conclusion and say, no, it didn't work out, I'm going to call it quits now. Give it enough time to work through, but put your efforts in. But for the mentor, I think in particular, it's not like you've been engaged to do a one-session advice and then you can click off and then not worry about it until you meet again. Mentoring is about thinking about the other person when they're not there. You need to think about what is the next step. What are the next things that you could add value to their lives? Whether you have it or you don't have it, you can research it or you can talk to your friends about it. But in other words, you need to be thinking about that individual that you're trying to care for. Or this is what the relationship is. So if we have the attitude of reaching out to try and provide as much as we can in a loving way and a caring way, then I think the mentee will benefit either way, and you will benefit from the response that comes back.
I have some prepared agenda, my amazing, beautiful Google document, and I come with it to Josie with my goals, early goals and monthly goals. And Josie asked me, Anya, what's about your victories? I'm absolutely sure you have some victories today. Would you please mention something? And it was so super usual day, absolutely boring meetings on the job, not victories, not something to, I don't know, really important. And I was a little even speechless. I was not ready for this kind of discussion. Josie explained me a little that actually you have a lot of good work, you are nice, and you did something nice today, and it's okay to name it as victories, your small own victories every day.
So I was in this area with tons of opportunity and tons of really interesting projects that were being worked on, but breaking into high tech was difficult. I interviewed for a bunch of different jobs and just didn't seem to get there. So I was doing some networking and came across the mentoring club. And after talking to Liesel, joining was really a no-brainer. I was interested in project management, which a friend of mine had suggested based on my past experience that would be a good intro into tech. After looking at Hong's experience, he was a clear choice as a mentor. Through the process, I found Hong to be open, engaging, and most importantly, full of practical advice. Since I started working with Hong, I obtained an internship at a startup. 2 months later, was offered a full-time position. 6 months after that, was promoted to be the manufacturing manager. And it's just been all go since then.
Hi, my name is Emily Hu, and I am a leader. Not because that's my title, but because people trust me with hard problems. I lead forward by doing the work first. I build, I test, I fail fast, and I tell the truth about what I learn, whether it's engineering, clinical operations, investing, or professional sports. I don't ask others to take risks that I haven't taken myself. I mentor by raising standards and supporting at the same time. I don't lower the bar to make things comfortable. I help people to build the skill, judgment, and confidence to clear it. I believe leadership is about leverage, not control. My job is to see patterns early, remove friction, and give people clarity so that they can move faster than they thought possible. I lead with accountability and I lead with experience. If something works, the team gets credit. If something fails, I own it and we fix it. And I lead by investing in people before they're obvious bets. The future isn't built by perfect resumes. It's built by capable people who are willing to learn, adapt, and act. That is how I lead. Forward with purpose and with others, not ahead of them.